Good morning or evening, depending on when you're watching this. I've been riding the e-bike for a couple weeks now. If you saw my last video, we somewhat installed the headlight and tail light. Got it all working. I say that as it's not on. There we go. Got it all working. Off video, just one of the weekends I installed this nice bike rack so it can actually hang on my wall and not take up valuable space. I've been not the biggest fan of just this large chunk of wires hanging everywhere, and I feel like it can definitely look a lot cleaner. So I ended up buying some wiring loom. This one's a half inch, sorry. Some wiring loom and just some 100 pack of black zip ties to try to clean up the wiring on here. So I'm going to start by cleaning off all this dirt from a couple weeks of riding. Not like super detailed, but at least just wipe it down with a rag. Yeah, and prep it for the wire loom. All right, that's good enough. That is good enough. Like I said, nothing crazy. I'm not detailing it. I just wanted to wipe it so I wouldn't feel as grimy when I'm working with this wiring. Something else I want to do, we'll see if I actually do it in this video or not. I need to properly mount these. I still have them on with zip ties. I really still don't quite know how to do it. My brother has a 3D printer, so maybe I'll look up if there's someone just happened to make something for this, but I doubt it. But yeah, like I said, these zip ties, not good. It almost looks like I gotta self-tapper them in, but that just sounds really cringy. I don't want to self-tapper this in. We'll see though. Not a priority right now. Let's focus on this wiring. And probably start with just removing this battery, cutting some of these zip ties, and prepping. This is probably the easiest thing we could start with. Just the wiring for the actual battery that sits inside here. It'll give us a chance to understand if this is a pain to work with or not. Hopefully not. So let's take this out. Start with this one. Oh man, hopefully that's big enough. Oh, it's expandable. Okay, cool. Looks like there already was some sort of wire loom thing, so I appreciate that there's some sort of effort. So this wire loom doesn't have a slit, so you actually have to slide it over. So we're gonna see how much that sucks for the other wires, but right now, this is fine in this use case. Right about here is where we want to cut it. I did have a pair of scissors up here somewhere. I'm not super impressed, but I think it does at least do a better job in, keeping them together. I think it's going to be much more noticeable once I actually use it on all of those wires, because there's like 7 that I got to put together, because this one was only 2. Put a little bit of electrical tape at the end here, some zip ties, hold it down. I'm okay with that. Cars. So I ran into the issue that I expected to run into, which is this wiring loom doesn't have a split in it, right? So you got to actually feed it from the top through the bottom. Well, I have a lot of controls here that I can't really feed through. So I think I do actually have to split this a little bit. So we're going to start with splitting these small sections, because this part and this part combines into here together, right? So I need small pieces here anyways. So hopefully this won't come out bad. Hopefully. Yeah, that came out pretty terrible. I think we're gonna have to get the other wiring loom that actually comes with a split. Oh well, for me it'll be a couple days, but for you guys, next couple clips, I don't know. Next couple clips we'll have a legitimate one. We'll see. I decided to not give up quite yet, because I think I could actually make it work. Just gotta unplug some of these things and run it the other way through. So, we'll see. Starting to look a little more hopeful. I took off the gear shifter cable and I ran it through, so now I have this one solid cable, or wire loom, and now it ends about, well, I gave it plenty of slack so I can always trim later, but now I can put all the cables through this side and start feeding them through there. Ugh, I feel like it's getting jammed in there or something. Finally, all right, here's the first guy. All right, there we go. That's all of these wires. It's funny how thick that loom looks right now when it's all scrunched up. It better not look like that in the end. Okay, so that should be the e-bike wiring. Next up, we need this. I always get so scared cutting zip ties, I'm gonna cut the freaking wires off or something. Alright, it's only these two wires running from the controls and headlight. Yeah, controls and headlights, so probably just need to unplug a couple things. 1, 2, 3. That was easy. Now just feeding them through. Once again, it keeps getting caught up in here. Just gotta massage it slowly down. Alright, here's one. It's funny how thick that wire loom looks, but it should shrink. It better shrink. Okay, I spent a little time off camera, made quite the mess of zip ties and wire loom, but I'm really glad I had a change of heart and decided to go through with this wire loom because it looks a lot cleaner. I think I'm even gonna try to wire loom some of this stuff that you don't really see in the box, just so it's easier to service, because every time I open it up, it's just bam, suddenly all this, you know? So yeah, no, I'm really happy with it. There's some parts, like the edges, you really gotta like kind of tape off, so you know, if I really look up to it, it looks kind of gross, but from afar you can't really tell. Yeah, same thing here, right? It's just because they get really frayed in the edges, so I gotta use my trusty lighter right here of myself. Thank you, Chris. And burn the edges and then tape them. So that's now all this exposed wire out here, and I gave it some slack for, when you turn the handlebars. Yeah, now let's try to focus on some of this stuff that hides in the box. We're gonna start with the wiring for all the lights here and separate it from the wiring to the actual controller. That way, like I said earlier, for serviceability, it'll just make it easier to work on and clean it up a bit when I fold it all in the box. Where did I put that wire loom? Oh, it's literally right here. Okay. Forgot to burn the edges on this one, so let me clean that up real quick. Ow, burn my finger. Ow, ow, ow. Oh man, not so easy with these plugs because they just keep getting caught in the corners. But slowly and steady. Slowly and steadily, not slowly and steady. Slow and steady or slowly and I'm overthinking it. I think I'll cut it like right here. And then I'll deal with that extra slack later. Here are my scissors. Burn the edges. Slide the rest through. Okay, I see. So this is as far as we can make it go. I think let's start with... let's start with zip tying and taping it up here. Probably gonna do this off camera because it's just hard to get a good angle of this. Cleaned up the wiring for the lights out of this whole loom. Taped it off on the edge. And then connected it all and zip tied. Now to wire the controller and this mess of wires, but it's okay. Looks scary, but it'll come out much, much cleaner like this one did. Okay, got really in the zone there. Lost sense of reality, you know? Flow state. Yeah, so wired up this one, wired up this one, wired up this one. It's looking a lot cleaner. These are all the spare wires. Here's the one wire that connects the lights. The lights. Oof, that was fast. That's the one wire that connects to the lights. And now we can start putting it all in the box and keeping it nice and clean. Try to fold up and zip tie, make it fit nice in there. Let's go inside. All right, there we go. That looks a little better. Okay, now I need to test to make sure everything's still working. So I need to get the battery. Lights are working. Turn signals are working. Horn works. Oh my god, I just ripped a portion of the skin on my thumb. Oof, that hurt. Okay, it looks like this is a little tight, so we need to give some slack to this. And I need to put a band-aid on this. Ow. Got my band-aid. And it looks like it was something that just binded up over here. So I gave it some more slack here, and then I ended up cutting the zip ties here and here to try to, end up giving more slack to this cable. So now it works fine. So we will put these zip ties back on and put this on the bike and start buttoning it up. And I'm all done with the wiring. Yeah, so I also made sure this wire went behind this brake wire right here, so I had to cut and re-zip tie that. I went ahead and zip tied and cleaned up some more here. I moved my phone mount to the left side because there really wasn't that much more space there. I think it looks a million times better. So the next step is actually properly securing, speaking of these zip ties, properly securing this tail light and this headlight. The zip ties work, and but this is not okay. It's janky, and I don't like that, and I'm trying to make it a lot cleaner. So I'm gonna look at it, try to research some solutions. Like I said earlier, maybe there's a 3D printed model of something I could use to mount them. Otherwise, just gonna have to get creative. More creative than zip ties. And before that, I gotta clean up this mess I made. Lots of crap on the floor. this is really gross. But it was worth it. It's very gross, but it was worth it because it came out great, and I'm really glad I actually believed in myself and didn't listen to my second guessing of trying to get a split loom, because it looks much, much, much cleaner with this single loom like that. So, moving on to the lights. Thankfully, I found this 3D print on Thingiverse, so I took a gamble on it and printed it without modifying any parameters. It came out great, just a little stuck in the bed, but that's kind of expected with prints. All right, this looks super promising. It was quite the pain to get all the supports out when you 3D print stuff, in case you don't know. They also print these little supports to make sure this stuff doesn't bend during printing. And there were just a lot of annoying supports to get out. But anyways, yeah, this looks super promising because this part, I just got a random one, and it happens to be just the same width for this eBay light. And the part that goes in the handlebar clips in snugly, which is fantastic. So now I gotta go to the store and get the proper hardware for this. I think it was an M6 and an M8. Doesn't matter. I'll look it up. It's the next day. Spent some time at Lowe's. Looked around for the right bolts and nuts, and these all should do the trick. They should even replace that original one that was this one right here, because it's roughly the same thread. I actually went with the standard thread size, but this one I think is metric, so now all I gotta do is start snipping these off and replacing it with its actual mount. It's almost perfect. Looks like this hole doesn't quite line up, so I'm gonna drill the 3D printed hole just a little bit bigger so I could fit this screw flushly through. Headlight is mounted, and it's a lot more secure. I left this, I gave this a little slack just so I can move it around in, real world applications. But this one is nice and tight. Much, much better than the zip ties. The one issue though is I think it's just the slightest bit angled. So I'm worried how it's gonna actually look. I don't think it should be too much of an issue, because when I shine it, it's pretty much just a shy to the left of direct center. But we'll see in nighttime. So now that I got the headlight all situated and mounted, I gotta work on the tail light. So we gotta come up with a solution for this. I'm hoping I can be just as lucky and find a 3D model that happened to work. But, this one's got these two nuts here, and it's gotta kind of wrap around. So I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope I find a 3D model, and if not, I'll have to think of something else. Last minute things. If anyone was curious, I drilled out this hole with a 3/8 drill bit. Yes, 3/8 drill bit. And I used 10 30-second screws that are, the light went out, that are 1.5 inches long. And I use that for both of these holes. And I'll leave a link for the 3D print file in the description. What else? Oh yeah, eventually I'm gonna replace this with, I have black filament as well. Correction, my brother has black filament. Thank you to him for helping me with this. Yes, my brother has black filament, so I'm gonna replace that with a black one. I just printed it with the cheap white one first, just to, make sure that it fits and not waste the nicer black filament. But now that I know it fits and I can drill it with this drill bit, I can replace it with a black one. Probably won't show that in this video. My focus right now is on this tail light piece. And in a traumatic turn of events, my e-bike was stolen from me. I wish I was making it up. It's hard to believe it myself. I filed the police report, and I'm just trying to stay optimistic. Obviously, at the moment, this project is at a halt, but I'll keep us updated if there are any major changes. Fingers crossed it doesn't get chop-chopped.